So what is the problem of evil? The problem of evil is the strongest argument in favor of atheism. And before I get into the two formulations of the problem of evil, I first want to say what it is. So the problem arises when you try to say there's a perfectly loving God, while at the same time there is copious amounts of monstrous evil and suffering within this world that we inhabit. And there seems to be a contradiction, or it seems to be highly unlikely that those two things could coexist, a perfectly loving God and all the evil in the world. So with that said, the first way to formulate the problem of evil would be the logical problem of evil. Now, the logical problem of evil essentially says that it is logically impossible for evil and God to coexist at the same time. There's a blatant contradiction between those two propositions. Now, the contemporary philosopher J.L. Schellenberg has formulated an argument in what he calls the argument from prior purity. And essentially how that argument runs is that if God is perfectly good, if he has this kind of prior perfect goodness and this perfection, then how can evil even enter the world in the first place? How could the entrance of evil even take place? So that would be a way to deliver the logical problem of evil. The evidential problem of evil, on the other hand, is that, sure, God and evil can logically coexist, but it's highly unlikely. It's probabilistically unlikely due to the distribution of it, the seemingly gratuitous nature of it. Perhaps, though, maybe we just don't see all the metaphysical and empirical connections between good and evil. Maybe we just don't see the whole picture. Maybe God has reasons for permitting evil. Maybe you could employ some kind of soul-building theodicy or free will defense. But there's just so much evil that it's probably unlikely that a perfectly good, loving God exists. Now, what's really important to illustrate here is that the problem of evil really only works when you start to ascribe the kind of properties to God that, say, Christian theism does. God is perfectly good, he's perfectly loving, he has infinite concern for his finite creation. If you just employ a different brand of belief in God, say deism, where God's kind of like the deadbeat dad, he creates and then he's gone, he doesn't intervene in the universe or care about us, then the problem of evil has no weight at all, it has no force. It only becomes a problem when you try to say, again, God is imbued with the properties of love, care, he's perfectly good, he's perfectly just. That's when it becomes a problem. But like I said, say you just say that God is either positive deistic God, or God is just this intelligent causal agency behind our contingent reality. Maybe he's just the first necessary cause, he's the bedrock of all being. It doesn't follow that being is love. I mean, maybe God's not a moral agent at all. Maybe he doesn't have those kinds of properties. Maybe he doesn't have any obligations to his finite creation. So it doesn't really have any force there. It begins to have incredibly powerful, persuasive force when you start to say God is love. So that's really a rough sketch of the problem of evil. Take care, guys.